Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about a young girl whose brother confessed to killing their parents, but things are not as they seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So one day, this young girl decided to tell her friend about the terrible tragedy. Her friend asked about what happened to her brother after the confession. She said he got arrested, went to trial, and eventually was found guilty and sentenced to death by lethal injection. During the execution, her brother never said a word. He gave no explanation and just stared at her blankly as they gave him the injection. The young girl admitted after that she couldn't eat or sleep. She had so many questions, but no one left to give her answers. She tried to block out the terrible memories and suffered from depression and even amnesia. The friend suggested she go to a psychic to find some answers, so she did. She asked, "What drove my brother to lose his mind?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was always perfectly sane." The girl asked, "So then why did my brother kill our parents?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was only responsible for the death of one person." Suddenly, the girl understood everything. She broke down crying. What really happened to this family? Can you solve this mystery? Can you solve this mystery? This is the story of an old man who heard about how a scientist discovered a way to stay young forever, but things went terribly wrong. The scientist is hiding something, and all the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So this old man went to the scientist and asked him to make him young again. The scientist agreed and said that he invented a machine that would use the old man's cells to create a young, healthy body. Then the old man's memories would be transplanted into the new body and he would be young again. The old man thought this was great news and agreed instantly. But things weren't so simple. The old man laid down on the bed to get ready for the procedure. A few hours later, he asked, "When will it begin?" Then a young man walked into the room and said to the scientist, "My procedure went so well, but what are you gonna do with my old body?" The scientist replied to him, "It will be disposed of in the incineration facility." The old man was so impressed. He said, "Wow, the person before me seemed to have amazing results. I can't wait for my turn." What really happened here, and what was the scientist hiding? Can you solve this mystery?
Okay, it's time for another creepy story time. My parents had me in their early 20s and ended up getting divorced when I was less than a year old. I often spent the night at my grandma's house on my mum's side since my mum didn't have much money at the time. I don't remember this happening, but my mother and grandmother tell me the story like it was yesterday. When I was really little, I would come out of my room and tell everyone that there was a lady that stood over my crib at night and watched me sleep. Since I was so little, everyone thought I was just making up stories and it was my imagination or I was just dreaming. This continued on for months, and one day my mum and grandma were looking through a photo book, and as they were just flipping through the pages, she lands on a photo of my dad's mum, my other grandma, and I pointed right to her and said, "That's the lady that stands over my crib at night." I had never met her and she died years before I was born.
This is why you should never play hide and seek. A mom decided to play hide and seek with her two kids. The mom began counting, ready or not, here I come. She begins searching the downstairs kitchen because she knows that they hide there every single time. As she's walking to the kitchen, she starts saying, I wonder where they are. She looks under the table and sees they aren't there, which is kind of odd. She knew they were too scared to go into the basement alone, but she decided to check anyway. They weren't there either. She began to panic. The mom then says, "Jordan, Casey, come out now. Mommy's not playing anymore." There was no answer. Panic really begins to set in. She decides to call 911 and reaches an operator. She tells the operator what's wrong and the operator sends an officer to her house. Once the officer arrives, he says, "Don't worry, we will find them." As she's sitting in the living room, she hears giggling and laughing and hears a closet door slam upstairs. She sprints upstairs and says, "Jordan, Casey, you worried me sick." She opened the closet door and nobody was there. While all of this is going on, she hears the doorbell ring. She runs downstairs and finds the officer holding Jordan and Casey. The officer says, "They were hiding in the shed out back." Then Jordan looks at mommy and says, "Why were you telling us to stay in the shed?"
This is how, for a group of college students, the game Among Us turned deadly. One night, Blair was playing with his friends through video call, Brayden, Allie, Jenny, and David. His screen flashed. "Crewmate, there is one imposter among us." A few seconds later, they all heard Allie gasp through their video call and say, no, get away from me." But her character was still standing there, not dead, as if she was just away from the keyboard. After a while of not responding, Jenny goes to check on her. But as Jenny walked into her room, she found Allie on the ground, surrounded by a pool of blood. Then her computer screen flashes. "Dead body reported." At this time, Blair picks up the phone to call the police, but when he hears footsteps coming closer to his room, he opens the door to find Brayden in the common room holding a knife in one hand and a computer in the other. Blair shuts the door, opens the window to try to climb out, but he catches a glimpse on his computer screen one last time. "Dead body reported," with an image of his character.
Once you hear why he did this, it will change the way you look at strangers. In 2018, a woman was out for a walk in the blistering cold when she saw a teen girl coming towards her wearing just pajamas and oversized shoes. Turns out it was 13-year-old missing person Jamie Close, and boy did she have a terrifying story to tell. 87 days earlier, a man had broken into her home in the middle of the night, killed her parents, and then taken her prisoner. He brought her 70 miles away to his house where she was kept under a bed and largely forgotten about. She was just there for no apparent reason. When her captor left one night, she managed to escape, and that's when she ran into this woman on the road. Jamie's captor, 21-year-old Jake Patterson, was quickly found, and he immediately confessed. And this is why he did it. On his way to work one day, he stops behind a school bus and he sees a girl get on. He doesn't know anything about her, and he decides, I'm going to kill her family and I'm going to take her. He had no motive, he had no criminal history. This was truly random.